Hey everybody, it's Savage Lands News coming in this time with a friend of the show.
Hi.
Personal homie that I talk to all the time. He's been on here before. He's a Rhinar player, well, ex-Rhinar player, kind of. Still plays it. But he has been absolutely crushing his area on Azuri this RTN season. I think it's a 2 back-to-back RTN dominating first place. Gross from what I'm seeing. I even had people reach out from his area and say, you need to get him on the channel. He's scary.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, for real. I had somebody reach out and say, you need to go talk to Jose. So give him a round of applause. Jose Lau. How you doing today, Jose?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
We are recording this on like a Friday, so that's like an RTN season coming up. I'm playing both. I missed out last week Sunday because I decided to have like friend commitments instead. But yeah, looking forward because the past two RTNs, I would say not every strong player in Singapore was like present, but then I think the upcoming one, everyone's going to be there, so it's going to be a lot more tight.
Ooh, you excited? Are you going to bring the same hero, or are you going to bring somebody different?
No, I'm bringing Ozuri. I tried Riptide for like a day on Talisha. I was like, okay, I don't know how I played this for like a month. It's completely different.
Yeah, I was gonna get on that. So we've had him on the channel before. We talked about how long he's been playing Flesh and Blood. We talked to him about why he chose Rhinar, all that kind of stuff. So let's jump into a couple different conversations here. So Jose, you were playing Rhinar for a very long time, and then you jumped to Riptide, another green monster, and you were kind of vibing with him for a while over there.
I was trying.
You, yeah. You even did you were crushing a couple like armories and stuff with him, right?
Locally Singapore before the RTN, we had like a miniature season. We had the Sigil of Solace events, and then those are pretty sought after. So I would say people were like preparing for RTN with that. I did well in one of them, but then the second one I got destroyed by Dromai, so I was like, okay, maybe not this deck anymore. Yeah.
I mean, you won your Sigil of Solaces with Riptide, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, that's crazy.
He's okay.
He's okay. I mean, how do you feel about Riptide now that Oldham's gone?
Okay, so Oldham was the unwinnable matchup because he doesn't need cards to block you. So Riptide doesn't have evasion, so most of the time you have to outright kill their deck.
Yeah.
And Oldham can ignore that. So I always felt Oldham was like the unwinnable matchup. Other decks are like more playable, but like there's still a lot of nightmare matchups, like Dromai's unwinnable, Kino's unwinnable. But something I realized after playing Riptide and then having people play against me is once they start playing around you, it's a lot harder. If the Bravo does nothing except a swing hammer, you can't really get him. So your border traps are inactive. He'll be super careful about like carpet trap and like walking through those traps. So he won't fall for that. He'll never cast Pommel until you see Spike Pit Trap. Then when that happens, right, you really have to struggle. And I started losing to Katsu because in Singapore Katsu is really popular. And in theory, you can't lose to Katsu with Riptide. But then like I was, so I was like, okay, so it's not that favored. And you have a lot of nightmare matchups. Why am I playing this deck? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because it's true. Like you kind of just you block 6, swing 6, and you just do that until the Riptide runs out of cards, right?
Yeah, and sometimes the Katsu goes off until the Riptide can play around fatigue, but then that means he has to take like more damage for it, and it's really hard to like balance it out. It's like I would say Outsiders Field plays for both Uzuri and Riptide really well because both decks attempt to fatigue via damage, and Riptide forces a lot more blocks, but at the same time he has like a lot of inherent weaknesses. He has no weapon. His deck is a lot less consistent because okay, so say against Katsu, theoretically his favorite, right? He walks into like almost every trap, but then if you draw like 2 lasers and like 2 arrows, and then he like wants to go off on you, you're just gonna have to take it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, so you found that like Riptide just wasn't quite at the level you needed him to be for you to win some actual events, right?
He's not. I feel like his power level is not good enough.
Yeah,
he's good. He's like okay, like he's not like terrible. I wouldn't say he's as bad as people make him out to be. He can definitely win some stuff, but like he has a lot of like critical problems. I was testing Dreadbore because theoretically Dreadbore is really good, and an interesting part about Riptide, completely separate deck, but he doesn't actually need to use his bow most of the time, so you can kind of substitute into Dreadbore, and just a passive effect that's really effective.
Yeah.
But like I was playing on Talisha and I was really struggling against some people who weren't playing very well. So I was like, okay, since this deck feels like so I'm like struggling against people who aren't playing very, very well, I feel like maybe he just needs like more power.
Yeah. He's missing like a got like a flavor, right? Like you've got Dominate on Azalea, you've got Go Again on Lexi, and Riptide's like stuck kind of in the middle where he doesn't do enough trap damage to win through traps, but he doesn't have like a way to force his like presence. I don't think. I don't know.
I can see why they kept Riptide because of like the 3 legendary traps are very good when they work.
Yeah.
Like Buzzsaw basically one shots Doranzia on any turn, or Azalea for that matter. Collapsing Trap is just a really good card. And a Spike Pit Trap, when you get someone with it, like they die.
Yeah.
Like my friend told me he got someone with like he hit the Dash's T-bone and like nuked her for 8. But like besides that, not great. Like I guess if that's his identity, compared to his other identity is he doesn't pitch. He doesn't need to pitch. His best turns don't pitch.
Yeah.
So you do like Lace, Bolton Shot, premeditate Bolton Shot, Lace, Searing Shot. And like those turns are so beautiful, but then like they're rare. And then you have to use like a lot of crappy cards and it's inconsistent. It's the same reason why like buff Azalea is not very consistent.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very not. I think he needs buffs, but I don't know how they will buff him.
Okay. Without like making him oppressive. Yeah. So how did you pivot from Riptide to Azuri? Like what was did you move to any other heroes before you found Azuri?
Okay, so I got Riptide off the week before all the Artian started. No, 2 weeks before the Artian started. Then I was thinking, what are my options? Because okay, I'm not sure if you're high on Rhina. I'm very not high on Rhina.
Yeah.
You can force him. You can really like break him down to make it work. But I don't want to play a Rhina deck that is like just a very sad Bravo deck.
Yeah.
Like say I start running 6 pummels to like maybe like cross my fingers and try to be playable into Lexi. Or like run 3 Tome of Yandel, some nonsense like that. At that point it's like I should just be playing something else. And while I do love Rhina, I'm not like a very devoted one trick like Chandler. I'll play something that I like. And Rhina's just what I usually like. So so what did I think? So I think that was after the proto happened. So Lexi became very known. I feel like Lexi was always known, but then like the proto made it very obvious, and there was no real answer to Lexi. There still is really no real answer to Lexi, except Uzuri actually. So I thought Azalea would be fun because I always enjoyed the play patterns, right? You get to like scare a lot, but then that was with the Death Dealer build, and I feel like you have very little agency. You're gonna do your thing, and if your opponent can't answer you, you win. But if your opponent does something better than you, you kind of lose. And like that kind of agency is the same reason why I don't play like aggro decks like Fi.
Did you play Great Bow Azalea?
I haven't yet. It looks fun.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of want to play Uzuri for a bit more. I want to master this deck. It feels really good to master. So Azalea was like what I was like hoping for. So I was like buying cards. So Singapore had a Katsu thing, and it still has a Katsu thing. Katsu is crazy here. I think our list is very refined, and it's very very scary. And it's popular now. I don't like to play the mirror, even though Katsu is probably like if I were to play an aggro deck, it's probably Katsu because he's so fun. Like I just keep watching my friends play the deck. So I've seen like crazy stuff like this guy is bonded twice in a turn. He descendant bonds, and that's not even like impractically hard to do.
Yeah,
but I don't really want to play the mirror, and like I would say some of the stronger players in Singapore on it, or like have at least accounted for it. I don't like being like the target. So I bought Katsu cards, but then I didn't play him, even though he's quite possibly like super fun to play. Then I was watching. Actually, like kind of put off I looked at Tao Tao's list. Then I stared at the list. I was like, this list is so tech for the proto. Like everything like he ran was like specifically done to handle the proto meta. But I was like thinking, okay, this list is kind of interesting, and I always wanted to try Uzuri. I didn't like the red liner list because I felt like the strongest part of Uzuri is the daggers. She doesn't need like reds. Yeah, and like running 0-for-3 sounds kind of sad. It's like I get that's very powerful. I've never played against it, but I've heard stories of people play against it. But like just running 0-for-3s and then like the idea of your hands being super clunky where you draw like 3 like so you draw Sedate, Infect, and like another and like Red Isolate. It just sounds so bad to me. I don't really want to play that. But I like the idea of Uzuri. The idea of like I played a bit of Arachne. Before Outsiders, and Uzuri is kind of like an upgrade, sadly, because Shakedown is you could just play an Arachne deck with Shakedown, and it's a better Arachne deck than Arachne.
That's true.
And I always like you feel so smart. You can like do the daggers feel very good. And after they printed Orbital Class, I was like, okay, this is what Assassin needs. They don't really need to print anything more. Then like Codex of Frailty came up, and we're like, holy shit, this is really really good.
Codex is wild.
Yeah, so after that I shifted to Uzuri. So I tried Turtle's List. I was like, okay, this kind of works, except like this is really, really inbred for the proto meta. So I added like some cards that were like they give me more agency into other decks. Like for example, he was running 2 codexes. I added the third one because like what I found is like the more I play his list, the more I changed it at the start. I revert back to like some of the decisions he made. But I think like 3 codex is like super justifiable. Like I added the second Death Touch, then I went back to the first one. The codex is too powerful not to run 3. But besides that, he runs a lot of other strange stuff. He ran Unmovable into Lexi, and that just never got. I can never do that.
I don't really
hate the idea
understand
of
that
it.
at all.
I get it. It's just that cause his plan is to just outright fatigue the Lexi, and that's true. But you don't need Unmovable to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his take on fighting Dromai is wrong. His take on fighting Dromai is he's supposed to fatigue the Dromai, and I think you like fatigue her deck, but you just outright lose to 3 Remembrance. So I think you're better taking the odds of trying to like just fight the Dromai on the axis of life instead.
Yeah, there's a Azuri player in my local meta who just did pretty well at our RTN, and he has like a really aggressive contract Azuri. It's still blue heavy. It's still got the contract cards, but he's running like go against. What's that card where like if they block, you can put a card back on top of your deck?
Give and take.
Give and take. So he's got like give and takes in there. He's got nimbleisms, but he's still on the contract list, and he just like straight runs. He was like the original list has like a 0% win rate on the Dromai, and he's like, I can beat bad Dromais or decent Dromais, right? He just runs them down.
Yeah, but that's what I don't like to say, right? Like I don't like to say like, yeah, I can beat bad Dromai. Okay, so so part of the reason why I quit Riptide is because I lost to some Dromai one very like great. I was like, okay, I can't have this. It was just like me just sitting there for like 30 minutes just suffering. I was like, okay, no, I'm not doing this. Do you know that if you trap the dragons, they don't bounce the damage back to face?
Yeah, because the hero's not attacking,
That's so
right?
shitty. My
Yeah.
cool pitfall traps don't deal 3 damage. I'm so sad. Then yeah, it's like Riptide is like a reckless swing addiction, by the way. It's still very fun.
Yeah.
Every card in your pitch deck is a reckless swing. It's beautiful. Then yeah, so I feel like you can. I think once Odin leaves, you can take out all the crap in the sideboard that was meant for Odin. So namely Bambrace. That card's so useless now. But you might be able to. I haven't fought any good Dromai. Singapore has a few good Dromai, but I have been lucky enough not to pair them. And like, as I wouldn't say I'm like a super competitive player because like I still play the game for fun, and like I can't, in the goodness of my heart, like if someone reaches out to me to test Dromai into Uzuri, I'll say yes, but I can't ask them for it because I don't hate myself. It sounds so unfun for me, even though I should probably like do it. Yeah.
It's not a good matchup, right? You see a Dromai, you just kind of hope for the best and scoop.
If they keep running your dragons into you and you keep popping, then you can win. But the good Dromai will just spawn their dragon and they say, do you want to kill it? If you kill it, then there's the odds that you can't hit me the next turn. Then I might draw some nutty hand like passing Mirage into Miragai. Then once those hands come out, you can't really win. You have to like constantly deal with the threats. Then a good Dromai will snowball from there.
Yeah.
So if they just keep running into you, you could probably beat them. But what it could be a good Dromai? Maybe. I've heard like from some locals that they have added like hurls, like like go against sources. They're looking for scrap to try to beat Dromai.
Yeah.
And some versions run more poppers. I'm running like a few contract cards. The version that like either top 8 or came really close to top 18 calling Antwerp. He ran no yellow shred, no spreading plagues, and his entire deck was basically 6 costs, attacks, and isolates. Right, that's the entire thing. He's just trying to do that, and I saw in his win rate, he beat Adromai somewhere around like round 9, round 10. So maybe, and like his list has a lot more poppers, so maybe that works.
Yeah.
But his list is very strange. He runs yellow Death Touch. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so maybe something like that could be better against Dromai. I just can't imagine getting rid of the contract cards. I thought about it, but then like they are really too good against Katsu here, and Katsu is very threatening here. Like the guy doesn't even run Amnesia. Like Katsu is theoretically favored, like maybe it's like 60-40, but like all my games to Katsu go down to like 3 life, 1 life, pulling out with Sigil.
Yeah.
If I didn't have Amnesia, I probably would have lost those games.
Yeah.
So I can't bear to get rid of Amnesia for something else. So yeah, that's like, I feel like Dromai is probably it's no matter what's gonna be unfavored. It's Illusionist versus like defensive deck. So but it's playable. I don't think I'll beat like the proto top 8 Dromais or like Fuad Oma or anyone because they are masters of their deck. But maybe you could get someone who's like mid-level. like
Yeah.
mid to high, they kind of get Dromai, and like if their draws are bad, you can get them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, most heroes have a bad matchup, right?
Yeah, it's all fair in Flesh and Blood. Especially this meta game, you feel like you can't play something that beats everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So you ended up taking Azuri after playing with Riptide for a little bit, Katsu with a little bit, and then obviously you played Rhinar for a while. And you just you said you just took him to the event, or took Azuri to the event after like a couple days worth of practicing. Is that what you said?
So Singapore had the Sigil events. So I was like looking for a deck. I was quite desperate because I was like, okay, I really don't want to play Riptide anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, if I get bodied by Katsu again, I'm not gonna feel really good. So I played 3 games on Talisha. Then
Okay.
I managed to 5-0 the event, but that's because people weren't ready. And also my opponents drew pretty poorly. If I recall correctly, I beat 3 Bravo, 1 Katsu, maybe,
Okay.
and Alexi. Something along those lines. But nothing that was like super adverse. No Odim, no Dromai. So
Okay.
that felt really good. The last Bravo play came really close. He's Marco Ng on the leaderboards, like the highest EXP in Singapore. And like I talked to him very often. So I was like telling him, like, yo, this was really kind of good. And then like but I remember that game he drew quite poorly. But like that was with like a lot shorter list. I didn't run a movable, literally no tech. I think it was like 1 Sigil at max. Yeah.
Okay.
Then the following day I also got a top 8 with Uzuri, but it was a lot more shaky. I think I took a loss to Dromai. I remember I was like barely in on the tiebreakers. So yeah. But then like after that I was like, okay, this deck is worth working on.
So then you just you took it from there. You saw the potential of the deck, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna refine this. Maybe you adapt it to your play style a little bit more because you're kind of playing somebody else's deck a little bit. How long until your RTN season started from there?
The following week was RTN season.
Ooh,
so I was
so you
just
had
like
7
testing it out.
days. Okay.
Yeah. It's really nice because the start of the year was like really slow. So I kind of took a break. And I was like, and like there was like no real events, so I was just kind of like chilling, putting more effort to like school and stuff. But after like the events started to ramp up and I found like the 2 new heroes really fun, I was like, okay, there's something to work on here.
That's awesome. And so before we jump into your deck list, like what do you think about the meta right now in general, right? Like where we are balance wise, like do you enjoy where we are right now? Or do you think it's a little kind of weird?
I saw a really good tier list. I would like agree with it. Okay, so I'm gonna account for Odin still being around because he'll be around for a while. Until Dusk Till Dawn, right?
Yeah.
So I read somewhere that like it was what Lexi Dromai tier 1. Lexi Dromai Odin tier 1. I would say what's very notable is you gotta account for Lexi. Wherever you're playing, you gotta account for Lexi. You can't just say dodge Lexi. You can say dodge Dromai, you can say dodge Odin, but you can't say dodge Lexi, depending on your meta game. Singapore in general is really weird. Singapore's a tiny island, but then there's like I have this rule that I realized after playing the Sage of Solace events. If you're in the East, you can't play something that loses to Dromai. There's so many Dromai players only in the East, and they play in their very specific stores. But like I was like counting for the event, so there were like 32 people. I was like, okay, so there's about like 4 or 5 names I don't know here, but there's like maybe only 2 Dromai. I can justify Riptide. Then I went there, every single player's name which I didn't know was on Dromai. I was like, okay, so now I understand that there's a Dromai presence. And Singapore doesn't really like Odin, but that said, we have good Odin players. Gordon was testing with Michael Feng, and he's extremely good on Odin. Gordon and Kayang, both of them. So like the one of the RTNs that I won, I got lucky because he got slaughtered by a dash in the top 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just looked at the bracket. I was like, okay, so there's a Dromai here, and it's fighting Lexi. So if the Lexi beats the Dromai, I'm safe. And if Gordon gets bodied by the dash, which I heard while playing my game, it was like, what, 3 items in the first 3 turns? I was like, okay, he's already dead. So, but then like, yeah. So no matter how good you are, you can't really beat dash when they do that. Even Uzuri can't beat dash when they do that.
Yeah.
Then, so outside of those, I would say the Odin population is not high in Singapore. People like Bravo here. And it's partially because it's less boring to play. To some people, some people like the aggressive Power Guardian. And there is a perception that it is better. I would say Crown of Seas is a stupid card. The reason why Odin beats you is not because of the first cycle, but it's because of the second cycle. And Crown of Seas lets them pitch tech so well. But yeah, but I don't think Odin and Dromai are like exceptional levels of power level. I think Dromai is a really crazy class whereby she has a lot of auto wins. But she takes a lot to play. I would say
it's like the illusionist problem, right?
Like
Prism was the same way. Like she flipped her hero and she had a 50% chance just to win the game.
Yeah. And I think Dromai It's not a deck that you pick up very easily.
Yeah.
And those who can are very, very good at it. So, but you still like kind of lose to Katsu and Fai. And
Yeah.
those are like still presence. Odin, on the other hand, Dash is still somewhat popular in Singapore. And so that's their Achilles heel. There is a Rhino presence in Singapore, and if they fight that, that's not very good either.
Yeah.
And they still get bodied by Lexi sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Lexi sometimes does
So-
33 damage. Yeah. Yeah.
So like here, I'll put like Odin, Lexi, Katsu, and maybe Uzuri in the top 4. I would put them in tier 1. I think they're very,
Okay.
very good. Then tier 2 or like tier 1.5 has like a lot of heroes that are like very playable. Like Viscerai looks kind of scary with the chrono dominant nonsense.
Yeah.
Viscerai has always been scary. Briar won the RTN that I didn't go to.
Okay.
Briar, if you draw well, is still sick.
Yeah.
Jomai, I think is a solid tier 1.5, tier 2. Azalea's still really scary. I'm not sure about the Great Bow nonsense, but like, it's still very scary. I think the Great Bow makes it like more consistent or something.
The Great Bow, yeah, I played against
Yeah.
the Great Bow. It's a lot more consistent. It feels like.
Yeah,
I think
and you
your,
have like a lot more agency.
your spike turns are less high because you don't get the whole extra card, but like you always kind of hit an arrow until you run out of them.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and you can like hit like aim the arrows too, which is like relevant.
Yeah, the show me your hand and discard a card with an aim counter is
Deadeye.
way Deadeye with Great Bow is way scary. One of my opponents made me discard a Blood Rush twice.
It's the
Yeah.
pulse wave harpoon thing.
Yeah.
I played against an Azalea on Talisha. And I was like, why is this taking so long? I was like, oh, he gets to choose what I discard. I was like, holy shit, it's not
Yeah.
random.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gross.
that's kind of. And by the way, that card sucks in Riptide, even though he just bounce cast away, because you don't have dominate, so they just throw whatever they have.
Yeah, they just block it.
Very sad. Yeah, so sad. Then yeah, so that's Azalea. Fi is probably a player. I don't know why Fi is good, but it's still scary. Fi still does the 4-3-3-1-5 nonsense, and no one really can stop them.
Yeah, Fi has come like a resurgence of Fi has showed up a lot here. We like the Kadachi Fi. I don't really know why it's good either, but it's good.
Because Mass of Momentum is really good in Lexi.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And they also, unlike Katsu, have a fridge to block with. So like if shit goes down, they can throw something.
True.
And they beat Odin. And
That's
Jomai.
true.
Like if you
Yeah.
think about it, okay. So say Fi gets a 50% into Lexi and they beat Odin and Jomai, they're good, right? So
Yeah, that's a pretty good deck. Yeah.
yeah. The downside is that they're like average like damage, like their damage per second now is pretty low compared to like the other things in the meta.
Yeah.
What else? Bravo's okay. I think Bravo is good. The problem with Bravo has always been consistency. Because
Yeah.
if Bravo does their thing, right, there's very few things decks can do to stop it.
Yeah. You just get
Yeah,
beat.
Dawn Crippling is nuts.
Yeah.
And besides that, I can't. Oh, there was this weird thing whereby like apparently Bolton is theoretically good. It's like
Was it a Raiden Bolton?
yeah, the one Sigil Solace event I didn't top 8 was like 5-0 by a Bolton. I have no idea what happened.
There was a
Maybe, like,
Bolton
two
at
legs.
our RTN that went into top 8 like undefeated or something.
Yeah, why? I don't know.
I don't know.
I've learned to stop disrespecting Bolton because like what the fuck is going on? But
Yeah.
why are they so good?
Was yours a Raiden? Was it Raiden
It's not
Bolton
like
or
we got
combo
the class.
Bolton?
He does a mix.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like a Bolton one trick. Like he loves
Oh.
Bolton. He plays like Bolton and Fatigue Arachne. Like he likes to play unorthodox stuff, but like
He loves to play
you
trash
know, when
heroes.
something 5-0. Yeah, when Bolton 5-0s, you can't really say it sucks. I think it's because their prey is gone. So Icelander's not around. The Lexi's not doing ice stuff. And Odin lost Winter's Veil, which was very, very irritating.
Yeah.
2, when you draw well, before the Lexi draws well, you beat them. That's most decks. If Rhina draws Blood Rush before Lexi, you can't, and you kill her, she can't really do a thing. And it has a good matchup into Jomai apparently.
I could see
I
it, I
don't
guess.
know why.
I don't know how, but I guess.
As much as I play Flesh and Blood, I don't understand Bolton yet. It's always been very cool, you know. You do the Rhina
Same.
thing, right? You discard a card to get your effect, but like you get like long-term effect, like long-term benefits, and they have like some good cards, right? Like Lumina's
Yeah.
an insane card for trading. It's not
Yeah.
Blood Rush good, but Blood Rush is insane. And Beacon of Victory is a very, very sick card to hold
card's
against the
good.
bonus deck. Yeah, he killed off the Lexis with like a Raiden for 0 plus 12,
Oh,
which is cracked. Yeah, I never seen that shit before. I was like, holy fuck. It's
Yeah.
not like the Lexi's gonna play around with Raiden for 0, right? It's like,
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't give him 12 block on a Raiden because then he's just not going to use it.
yeah, exactly. It's so sick. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe Bolton's playable. I don't know. But like, I think that's not the only case of like Bolton is good that I've heard in a
Okay.
while.
I can see
Reinhardt
it.
might
I can
be
see it.
playable. Yeah, Reinhardt might be okay. He's
I think
good into
Reinar is decent. He just can't beat Lexi,
Yeah.
and Lexi's everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, so like, and like, it's very sad because Odin's leaving, and that's our favorite food. So that's
Yeah, I was
really sad.
actually kind of like personally sad when Oldham LL'd.
Yeah, like it's like a one amazing matchup. It's like the one reason why I can justify Reinhardt. I said I can't do it in Singapore because no one plays Odin here. And like even then, I always felt like the matchup was like not amazing. It was like, okay, like if the Odin is competent, you're like fighting for the game like all the time. It's not like I open my hero and I'll instantly win. Yeah, and like you can have like a Reinhardt list that's really bad into Odin. Like if you actually just don't put Braching Beatdown in your deck, I think that matchup's a lot harder. You don't run Savage Beatdown, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't
Or Skeptic
imagine
doesn't
beating him
cooperate.
without red barraging.
Yeah, so it's like I wouldn't play him now. Levia is like there's this guy. So there's that guy, the crayons guy. I love it.
Oh yeah, I've had him on the channel.
yeah. I was like messaging for like the audience. I was messaging Nathan like he defeated me in my own bid because I was like so like destroyed by the fact that he was running Clearing Bellow. He was so disrespectful that I was defeated in my own bid while watching the stream. It's so sick. I considered a single like titanium bubble in Reinhardt because it's just so funny.
When he and then he keeps his health tracked with crayons. Yeah,
It's so powerful. The mental game, dude. Like, can you imagine? Like, I was describing it to like my guys. Right? It's like can you imagine like us as Singaporeans? We took an 18-hour flight to sit down at Pro Tour playing Lexi, right? Like the best deck by all metrics, and this guy's just pummeling us, and he's pitching cards with no text on it, and he's writing his name in crayons, right? And you're about to be sent home on your plane by this guy. I can't imagine. I'm just so glad I'm not on the receiving end of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, dude.
There's a guy in Singapore who's like doing Levia. His idea is that no one survives 6 Blarash Bellows. So he runs like Remembrance, 1 copy, just to like overwhelm slower decks. Besides that, he blocks. And he races with Karen Husk, but it's a non-blood dev list.
Okay.
Because if you throw the Karen Husk on like their critical turn and you just like race them with Blood Rush, they sometimes lose. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a super I always like to like joke with him that like, yeah, you're just playing right now without Intimidate. But Karen Husk is a real card. So,
yeah, but I mean, after a couple turns, it's not really that good anymore, I guess. Yeah, you're just playing like a
he's
bad
running
Reinhardt.
Talon from Limb, by the way.
Huh?
Just throwing that out there. He's running Talon from Limb. It's crazy.
Oh, okay.
It's so fun. Yeah, 16 on the swing thing. It's nuts. Yeah, so he's like justifying it because Levy has more blue 6s. So that's fair.
Yeah, I was making
and Rid with Rumbler is insane.
Yeah, I was making a Medax list with her because she has 4 more 6s, and it kind of works. Like Berserk, right? I was trying to make Berserk work. Do like 35 damage blood rushes, you know?
Yeah. I have a list that I haven't tested, but I got bored on like on public transport yesterday. 51 6 powers, 9 non-6s, which is 3 blood rush, 3 Berserk, and 3 Sense Cash plan. Because that card's really good with Berserk.
Yeah.
Does that theoretically be Lexi? I don't know.
I've been trying it. It's actually better than I thought, but it's not good enough. The problem is like it'll absolutely one-shot somebody, and then the next game you'll Medax and you'll discard a blood rush, and then you'll Medax and you'll discard a blood rush, and then you'll Medax again and discard a blood rush, and then you lose.
Claws though, because I think you run claws though. I think you need to run claws.
But you have
you just block out until you assemble Berserk plus blood rush and they die. You run Skullhorn, you run Beaten Trackers, and you go.
Yeah, you just go for it.
Yeah, but then chances are you might die before that. But when you like spectacularly destroy someone, it's really funny.
Yeah, it was mostly for fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
It's Lumina Ascension combo, except I just need to assemble Blood Rush and Berserk. And I run Sun Sketch plan so you can tutor for Berserk turn 0. Theoretically, okay.
Yeah.
I don't
discard it, but whatever.
Yeah, and you beat Odin and you beat Dromai because your deck is 51 poppers. Yeah. So, and you can run like the new cute stuff. You can run Cut Down to Size and Humble so you don't get destroyed super badly.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a fun deck, but like if it suddenly works, I'll play it. You know,
I'm working on it. I think we're like we need like a 2-cost yellow 6, and that deck will be really good.
Smash with Victory.
That blocks.
Are you running it yet?
I had it. I had it in there. But it's a lot of non-block. to get it to work.
Hmm.
It's fun though. I loved it. It was so fun until you lose or until you discard all your blood rushes. Then you cry.
Yeah, or you get hit by like Spinal back to back and you can't go off.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you can't, and you have all non-blocks in your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my take on the meta. I would say it's wider than people think, but there's like the raw power of Codex of Frailty just pushes out certain decks, like Dory and Rhina. Like your card quality is not as high as that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the
Whereas
older
I thought
heroes are
Dynasty
they're just getting left behind, honestly.
Dynasty was pretty good. Oh, Dash is playable. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Dash got a lot of support.
Our guys insist Dash is 45-55 into Lexi, which is okay. Like honestly, but it requires like really good play from the Dash.
Were you playing the
And
T-Bone
sometimes,
version?
T-Bone. Yeah. You T-Bone,
Yeah.
T-Bone magnetic, and they die. But sometimes you just kill them outright with Pounder. But and good matchup with Odin, bad matchup with Dromai, but playable. Yeah, so that. But yeah, I feel like there's some heroes whereby like they're just pushed out by raw card quality. I can understand why Rhina's being pushed out. Like his hero ability is inherently unfair, so having him be high power level is very risky for the game.
Yeah.
Dory, however, is very unfortunate because I feel like he's like, if Dory is good, I think that's a good place to be. And Singapore is high on Dory during Dynasty.
Yeah, I think Dory got left behind a little bit. Reinhardt is a little, like you said, unfair. They could make Levia stronger, but they can't really make Reinhardt strong.
I would say Levia strong is a very scary thing because like the problem with Shadow heroes is they lose to themselves. So if the Levia's a good player to not lose to themselves, the opponent's just gonna be there watching Solitaire happen as he gets pounded for like 12 damage every turn.
That's
yeah,
true.
I'm very afraid of Dust Till Dawn making Bolton and Levia good because I realize that the Monarch heroes are inherently just not fun to play against.
I think
Maybe
the TOA
Bolton's okay.
characters are the best. I like Vincent.
I would say
The direction they're heading with her is interesting.
I don't know what she's gonna do yet, but like okay, RuneGate sounds a lot more fair than whatever the hell Chain was doing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No unlimited go
No, the
again.
thing is like if you're losing to Levia and then they do their like 12 damage a turn consistently thing, and they have Husk to ignore you, that's pretty busted. And Bolton, when they draw 2 Lumina Ascensions together, naturally by turn 3, you're like, okay, this doesn't feel like Flesh and Blood. It feels like magic or something.
Yeah, you just get one shot. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just feels really shitty. But like I would say, I think lately they have understood how Flesh and Blood works better and what's good in Flesh and Blood. Spirit of Erna was really good buff for Bolton. Hopefully they can buff Levia in the ways whereby it just doesn't make her numbers bigger than everything else. Because right now I think Levia's advantage has always been my numbers are bigger than yours.
Yeah.
And also I have Blood Rush Battle, which is a broken card.
Yeah.
And I hope they buff Bolton very carefully because he's okay, but he deserves something. They recently revealed the Dory specialization, right? Like I think it's like whatever the Unity thing is, I think that's good. So hopefully, it's not fair, man. You know, Dory got like the glistening steel blade. Hopefully, Rhina gets something.
Dude, I can't believe how many specializations Dory gets, and we got like
Also,
what, pack call?
Henson card too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Blood Rush again. We got Bone Vizier, which was good for 2 weeks until they printed Crown of Providence. They're like, okay, this card ain't
Yeah.
shit.
I
compared
can't
to
believe
Blonde.
how many like they're giving everybody else all this candy, and we're just kind of like watching.
Savage Beatdown's pretty good though. And
Yeah, Savage Beatdown,
I feel
yeah.
like Berserk means that they can never bring good cards again.
Well,
Because
that's
Berserk
the
is so crazy
yeah.
when it works.
I think that okay, I have like a real problem with all these cards. I feel like they keep putting Rhinar further into a box. Like Berserk is
Which box?
into like a never get buffed box because Berserk is absolutely broken. If you have consistency, Berserk is the most busted card ever made. Then you got his hero ability, which you can never get back. Then Levia has like her shadow chess piece. So like brutes just keep getting these weird one-off cards that like we'll never get support because they're too strong.
Yeah, they can't print good shit. Like, okay, I think they can print stuff like Savage Beatdown because that card requires so much like.
Yeah, it's
build
too
around.
hard to play. Yeah.
It's too hard to play, but then like I abuse that shit during Dynasty. I love that shit. But they need stuff like that, and you need to buff him very, very carefully. But like not too much because a meta where Rhina's good is if Rhina has a 50-50 on Lexi, that's crazy. That's like not fair. That's like not good for the game. So yeah, I think it's just how it is. But yeah, I feel like a lot of older heroes are getting left behind. The thing is Dory's like playstyle is too fair. It's good if the game gets long enough. But the thing is, like, if you think about it, Dory theoretically is good into Lexi, right? Like, they don't block, so you can stack your Gauntlet. But then you die. Then what? Then you just lose. Because Lexi just does, like, too much damage.
Yeah.
And, like, when Yeah, I used during the Dynasty meta, I think I mentioned. Rhinar is the mid-range deck that kills control. Dory is the mid-range deck that kills aggro. But if Dory can't kill aggro, I don't think that's good for the game.
Yeah, I mean, like all of like those decks that were supposed to be like meta controller. So in my opinion, right, Dash was supposed to be like the anti-slow hero. If you give her 2 cycles, she wins no matter what, right? And then Rhinar was like the anti-defensive hero. Dory was the anti-aggro hero. But then there was a certain point where they printed like Everfest and Tales of Aria, where those 3 heroes are like no longer good at their job, right? So it's kind of weird. Like Dory can't beat Lexi anymore, not fairly. Like you can, sure,
Yeah.
but like
Also have a high roll.
not all the games, right? Like you're gonna lose most of the time.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. I would say Dash is still good at her job. She's still the litmus test of power, right? She's just efficient.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just kind of. I hope Dory gets buffed because like okay, at least with the specialization, they know that they are like not looking at only the Shadow Light heroes. Because I think that would be pretty boring. Not everyone's getting support, but I feel like
yeah, we know that at least other stuff's coming.
I don't think that's going to be a Rhinar specialization.
I don't think there's going to be.
I don't think
there's anything for Rhinar. I don't think there's going to be anything.
I think there'll be something, one thing. But it depends, right? Because you have to think about like I like to think about like what's in LSS Studios, right? What do they expect? Because they printed like Bone Vizier gold foil, so they definitely thought that card was playable. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but they thought something that was good, right?
I have one.
Yeah, you have one. And no, the card's good if Crown of Providence doesn't exist, but it does.
I got it signed, even.
By who? The artist? Or
yeah.
Oh, nice. Sick. Yeah, it's like you have to wonder what's like inside the studio, right? I'm pretty sure like maybe I'm biased because I spoke a bit to Carol at Worlds, but I was like pretty sure that they intended for Rhinar to be playable during Dynasty. And I think he was. I think Savage Beatdown did push him into playability because he could hunt Odin and Icelander.
I didn't like that card at all.
I think he was very good at killing the decks that he was very good at killing. So he's extremely good to Odin and extremely good to Icelander.
Yeah.
So they wanted him to have a place. That's why they printed a Gold Foil Club. That's why that card exists.
Yeah.
Which I also don't have that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm living in my sad dream that Rhinar will one day be good. I think they need to Starvo him.
Oh, fuck. I remember like who it was like Brian Gottlieb was like, okay, time to print Star him, and then I was like, oh shit. That's not good.
I think they need to Starvo treatment Rhinar. I think they need to fix his hero ability. Give him some cards that are really strong, that really only work with the new Rhinar, and then they can kind of run that way. But like you said, Intimidate's too strong.
Yeah. They need to lean into because I like the brute fantasy of like my number is very big, you answer me, right? But like his numbers aren't very big right now. So
yeah.
And I can understand why the numbers aren't big for current right now, like Reckless Rampage right now, because that's just not fair. But they must also make it fair so that he's not the best. I don't think his big number should be the best thing in this game. Like he has to be disruptable some way.
Yeah.
So Levia theoretically has big numbers, except she doesn't, because the numbers like are shit compared to like Trio Grain Razor.
Yeah.
Or like 5, 4, 3, 3, 1. Like I find it amazing. I keep losing to 5 when I was like playing Levia for fun, and I have like 51 life. I have like Karen Husk, Cap Skins, and Crown of Providence. I'm still losing. How am I still losing? Like why are my numbers so small?
Yeah, you just do 12 with all 4 of your cards, and that's not that great, right?
Yeah, it's kind of shitty. Like you get to block with crown card.
And you can implode.
Yeah, and then you can implode. So I don't know how they're gonna balance group moving forward. I can totally see what they're doing though. They want to keep it like inconsistent. Or not inconsistent, but like mathematically like not completely sound, right? Like I think they wanted like, okay, if the guy wakes up and has like a good day of Scat Skins, he can fail once or twice, but like if he has like a good day, like slightly above average, Rhinar wins that tournament, I'm completely okay with that. It's just that some people don't like it. And I don't see any other way to balance current brutes. But I think they will print like a new brute going forward.
Yeah, I think they need to go a different direction. Yeah. Because it's true, like even my last RTN, I won my game, or like I lost my first round to Lexi, whatever. But then I won, and then the final game, my Scab Skins just didn't hit. I rolled 8 times. I got 0 above. I rolled 3 1s and 0 4s or higher, and I lost.
You lived that long? Holy shit!
Yeah, I lost, but I rolled like every turn because I was like, it's gonna happen eventually, right? And as soon
you're behind, right? So you keep rolling.
Yeah, as soon as Rhinar doesn't get a roll, his deck shit just disappears.
Or you unadvantages. You are playing super fair.
Yeah, you're playing like the fairest hero in the game, and you can't win without Scab Skins hit.
Yeah, I was like thinking even the PTI that I won. there was a point in the game moving into the end game where I was like, my deck's pretty crap right now. If I don't hit a Scab Skin roll in the next 4 turns, I think I lose.
Mhm.
Which is like super sad because I was against Odin. This matchup was supposed to be free, right?
Yeah.
But if I never hit that Scab Skin roll, I'm pretty sure I just can't win that game because I can't push above the Odin's breakpoints.
Yeah,
so
you really
it
need to
happened.
find like all of the cheating value. Like you have a Tunic up and you block 9, claw, right? Like you need scabs to hit there, otherwise
Yeah.
your deck is terrible.
Yeah. But to be fair, Scab Skin is broken. Like it's a busted ass card. Like you get 2 action points, right? You can do some really broken shit.
That's
So,
what I'm saying.
I
I
can
wish
understand why they keep it.
I wish they would
Yeah.
just delete scab skins and like let us try again.
Yeah, Scab Skins is like every time you look at a brute card, you're like, oh, okay, is this weak because of Scab Skin? Unless it's not weak, then that card's arguably a mistake, like Blood Rush or Swing Big, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, then you're like, okay, well, and like all the broken brute shit get around Scab Skins,
Yeah.
whereas like every other card's like built for Scab Skins. So it's like, it is how it is, I guess.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I still love Reinar, but I want to find a way to make him. I want to you know what I want? I want a defensive brute.
Yeah. That's there's some like chats recently going. Is there was like a way whereby like you make Fair Briar, right? Like the embodiment of Earth thing, but like for brute on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they can be like I hit you very hard and I can block very good and I
Yeah.
do damage. That kind of thing.
Like if
Yeah.
you take my damage, I block better.
Yeah, like an embodiment of Earth. Like literally an embodiment of Earth.
Yeah,
Probably a bit
or like
too
in a
good,
couple,
but-
maybe a few on hits, like some not crazy ones, but like very brutish on hits. Like if I hit you, I break a piece of equipment or whatever, right? Like, but no dominate,
I like
nothing
to
like
think
that. You
if
know?
you don't block, if this doesn't hit, I get punished.
Yeah,
I think I like that kind of on hit. Yeah.
I do like that too. Yeah,
Because that's very brutty. Yeah, because like it means that I went like it's like very in fantasy, right? I took a dumb overcommitted hit and you skillfully outplayed it. Henceforth, I get punished. I think that's a interesting way.
yeah. I think that's where like intimidate originally came from, right? Like if you have the D react in your pocket, I'm punished. My barraging
Yeah.
beatdown does nothing. But if you don't,
Yeah.
you know, or if I pitch stack, yeah, I
Yeah,
like
the
those
super
cards a
sick
lot.
line, yeah.
I would like more of those. You're right. Like if this hits, I win. But if this doesn't hit, you win. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I do think that like moving forward, because okay, I think Flesh and Blood's design has gotten a lot better lately. I can feel like they have a lot more control over the format now. They're not
Yeah.
printing like bullshit stuff like the Ball Briar or like Prism, God forbid, whatever the hell was going on there. Like I would say Uzuri, right? Like I feel like okay, because there's like a few ways to build Uzuri, and all of them feel good in their own way. So moving forward, I'm optimistic because when the next brute comes out, it probably will be well designed. I'm ignoring the fact that Riptide exists because Riptide has fundamental flaws,
Yeah.
but I think they are fixable. Like there's some broken shit that it does. We have this idea locally whereby like you run New Horizons and you run like every codex. So every turn you're playing with 6 cards. So when you're playing so even though your cards suck, you're playing a 6-card hand into your opponent every single turn,
Yeah.
and it's really powerful because New Horizons is a nutty card. So, but he does have like other fundamental weaknesses. But like I can totally see like that their design has gotten a lot smarter. So future brute cards will like the future brute will probably be really well designed.
Yeah, I hope
Hopefully.
so. I hope by the time we get to Savage Lands, they can like figure out a cool way to give us something different. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they will. Outsiders
Yeah.
was better than I thought it was gonna be. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think some of the cards are like overtuned, but
Codex is too good.
yeah. But you know what the real problem is it's the old heroes, right? It's the TOA Everfest heroes, right? Because like
Ye-
Codex isn't that crazy in Assassin. It's not. It's strong.
Oh no, I think it's. I would disagree. By the way, we can talk about it later. But I think it's like super busted in Assassin.
I agree. I mean, like
Like, you play
it's
your
like
deck
one of
to-
the strongest plays you can do, but I'm not taking 34 damage from. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
losing my turn, but I'm like when Lexi plays it, she just obliterates you.
Yes, if you don't stunt your arsenal, if you don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
hug
yeah.
your arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like Codex. Okay, Codex is just clearly extremely overrated. It
Yeah.
should have been red, or it should have something. It's one of those cards that you're like, okay, if it was red, I'll play it.
Yeah.
If any lines of its text right doesn't exist, I might still play it, which is crazy.
Yeah, if the ponder's gone, if the discard's gone, if the draw's gone, if the yellow's gone, if the block is gone, I'd still play it.
yeah,
I can't believe it
think
blocks
it's-
for 2.
okay.
Why does it block at all?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Tome of Torment doesn't fucking block.
Yeah.
I love that card, by the way. It's so bad, but I love that card. The problem with Codex is it's like no. The thing is, okay, so it's good in Ranger, but it's like the only card I would say keeps like Assassin playable.
Yeah, I agree.
Assassins need that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really sad because they can't nerf it. Because they nerf it, then Uzuri doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure Uzuri just doesn't exist.
I agree. Why don't you play Inertia?
Because you have some really shitty arsenals.
Oh.
Yeah, you flip it and you see Shred, you're like, okay, yikes. Whereas like Lexi can run it. Because Lexi, everything is arsenalable. The deck's designed for everything to be arsenalable. I run it in Riptide, but we can leave that aside. This is
Yeah.
And Riptide is shitty hits because you hit the trap and you're like, okay, well, pass, ponder, okay, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we talked a little bit about where you think the meta is right now, about the balance of the game. You think it's time we should jump into your deck?
Yes. Okay. So Uzuri is a deck whereby it's a very strange mix of Rhinar, Iyslander, and Odin. I know those are like very different things. It fits like Rhinar in the sense that you do the trading thing very well. Whereby like you block 2 cards and then you do your efficient 2-card hand. As if you're better at it. You're doing the Iyslander thing because you are trying to constantly trade with your opponent and win trades.
Okay.
And you're doing the Odin thing because since Odin's not around, it's now your job to be the aggro breaker. Yeah, you're better at something. Like you destroy Ranger. Okay, you destroy Lexi. But like you're probably worse into 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the list in front of us. But before we kick off into the list and he starts jumping into it, Jose wrote an entire article that we'll link in the description below. It's really well put together, and it's on fabric.com, right? You want to talk about it real quick?
Okay, so a lot of people ask me about Uzuri, and I've like had a lot of thoughts. I don't think the article encompasses all of it, but it really gives you an insight to some of the really strong play patterns she has. The thing is, right, the more you play the deck, you realize that everything kind of works together. You can there's so much you can do with the deck, and there's like so much like angles you can attack your opponent from. The article mostly focuses on like the tools of the deck, the very basic stuff, whereby and like some of the fun parts of Uzuri, right? For example, one of the powerful things I realized is that people are very it might be a thing because I've done very well on Uzuri, but then people think of like when they play against me, they think of the worst possible thing that could happen.
Yeah.
So for example, right, there was once against Spy. So he did an out of Wharton, he did the bouncing links, everything, and I had like a 12 life lead. Then I dropped it dropped all the way until like slightly under it.
Yeah.
And he was wondering why I had an arsenal. I had 2 cards in hand, and I was presenting him with so he was thinking, what the hell is going on? He drew a really crappy hand. He drew like a triple blue hand or something. So he just blocked with 3 cards. When like in reality, I had like a shakedown and my arsenal was sitting below. So I just like didn't do it. So he blocked 3 cards on a Wither and nothing else. So I didn't even sub in the shakedown. I saved it for next turn. So it's stuff like that for Uzuri. You can represent things that you don't have. Like say if you've for some reason you've never seen your CNC and you just open with backstab, people think it's CNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll play as if it's CNC. So it might be good when you have something that's not as good as CNC. You have like an Amnesia or like some crap card to send it in. Or it could just be literally nothing. My favorite scam is the Sigil. Because you just present it to them, then they block any Sigil, and then that means you gain like life worth of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sigil is extremely powerful in this deck. It's because they can't not play around it. They have to play into it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the article goes through like a lot of stuff like that. A lot of the like basic play patterns, things like that.
Yeah, everybody at home, you should go check it out. It was a really good read, especially if you're interested in playing Uzuri. Like, it's a really interesting way you like kind of phrased it. Like, Uzuri's looking for these scams, and you're trying to set them up, and you're trying to trap your opponent no matter what they choose to do, right?
Yeah, it's like cards like it's particularly Shred Spreading Plague Sigil. Now, of course, all of these, like as I like outlined, it's like based off the power of like some very specific cards here. So I would say one like flaw of Uzuri or like general weakness of the deck is that you maybe have like 3 very very like you have like 3 very good cards. So they would be CNC, Shakedown, and Codex of Reality.
Yeah.
You can I remember watching a deck tech of the top 16 at Pro Tour. The guy was basically joking that, oh yeah, your Sink and Fate is to dig you closer to Codex of Reality. And I was like thinking about it, I was like, well, that's true. Anytime I see a card that isn't very good, you get rid of it. Like with Sink and Fate for Sin. Because your deck has only so many good cards. If you really think about it, your deck kind of sucks, right? Like particularly running Amnesia into almost every matchup because you have to. It's just a 2/4/6 set box for 3. I like to call it Pack Hunt because it's functionally the same as Pack Hunt. But Like it's stuff like this that like you need to but yeah, most of your deck is just not it. And a lot of the power comes from like incremental damage via Spider's Bite or like disrupting your opponent with like Leave No Witnesses, CNC. But yeah, you really have to like play your deck in mind that you have to keep like that a lot of the power in your turns is going to be off of those very few cards. Yeah. One version, there was a recent, I think either top 8 or like he was like top 16 of Howling Antwerp. He was running an Usuri list. He doesn't run any of the scams, which I think is okay. But he's I think one difference between his list and like mine would be the lack of contract. The contract cards are very good at aggro because they allow you to regenerate armor. And against stuff like Dash, it pressurizes their deck as well. Yeah, like if you throw Plunder the Poor at Lexi, right, and then like it burns a random card. So not only did you like you kill a card in their deck. That's one last thing they can throw at you. Lexi will fatigue themselves on your face. Yeah. And like half the time it regenerates armor for you. Like most of the time it will regenerate like some amount of armor for you.
Yeah.
So and they're like super efficient. Like they don't have go again. But then like if your turn is Spider's Bite to annihilate the arm, you didn't want go again.
Yeah.
And a lot of the damage you do with this deck will just be off the daggers. The reason why I don't like the Redline Uzuri is because like you're missing on the best part, which is the daggers. The daggers are so Spider's Bite, Pitch Blue Spider's Bite, Tunic CNC is so horribly hard to block.
Yeah.
That your opponent just either passes their turn, throws armor, or like takes 6 damage to the face and loses their arsenal. And if you really think about like I would say that a mistake that a lot of people do is they isolate most of their attacks. You can just like bite into it. You can bite your attacks rather than isolate into them. Because especially if you have a read on your opponent, they can de-react the isolate, they cannot de-react your CNC.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's a lot of like the deck is extremely fun. Like it's I would say it's for everyone because it's inherently a very slow deck. You aren't like dumping your hand and doing like big numbers, but like you get so many fun lines. Like I wouldn't say you play into faking everything you have, but understand that you are threatening to fake a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I considered like wearing sunglasses to like every event just so that I can stop giving it away because I'm a very expressive person.
Yeah. You get all excited when you have a good hand.
No, it's very because if the guy so say you're playing you know your opponent's pretty good at the game. And you're playing on Talishah, you can't see him. He just pitches blue into isolate, like blue dagger into isolate, right? You probably respect him and assume that it's a CNC. But in person, if the guy winces at all, or like even size at all, you know it's a bad hand, right? He probably just drew a quad blue. But over like if you can't see his face, you don't know. He could be a CNC or something. So you block it. Yeah. And that's what usually happens. But then like if you can hide it and like if you can like not give it away, you can fake that you have the card every time, which is really, really powerful.
Very powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want?
Besides that, it's a lot of like.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Besides that, it's a lot of like small choices in the deck. The deck's like a lot of increments. I recently added like a lot of physical attacks like the looking for scrap and E-strike to be more proactive into decks like Jomai and Odin. Something interesting is I don't like more than one Death Touch. I think a lot of the more proactive lists are running more than one Death Touch, but I don't like that card because it's very. If you think about it, the on hit doesn't really matter to most decks. Yeah. Like I'll start with the decks that's extremely good against. So Frailty is extremely good against Lexi. Inertia is really bad because it's really good on Inertia Trap because they'll run into it and they can't play around it. But if they Death Touch you, but if you Death Touch them and give them Inertia, they'll just hit you extra hard at it. They'll just throw everything they have. Inertia's best when you can't play around it, but it's still like playable, like usable against when you want to open a guy up. So against Odin, it's still really usable.
Yeah.
If they somehow let you hit a Death Touch. What's important is you kind of have to get into your opponent's head and then like think what they're like making, what you think you're about to give them. Because they might just hold an extra card in their hand to like get rid of Blood Rot. Or like they might block in a way whereby they won't swing weapon to play around Frailty. So you give them like what they don't see coming.
Yeah.
And Frailty is just really good in certain decks, and Blood Rot is just makes it a 1/8 most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like if you think about it, it's a 2-block that you can't cast from hand. Your arsenal is sometimes a defense reaction, so you have to like mix up optimal plays to make Death Touch work. Or you have to push it off of one of the stealth cards, which is like not optimal. Because I think something that I've only recently found out is that you want to bite like every attack you give. Because like it's so powerful.
Yeah.
You want to like bite or open to class. You have to clear whatever you're throwing at them.
Yeah.
And Death Touch makes it really awkward to do that. You can still like pitch blue to like bite into like isolate Death Touch, but then it's very inefficient.
Yeah, that's a 3-card 7,
Yeah.
8, 9 if you get
Yeah,
better
and you
at-
technically don't take any cards out of their hand. Like against
Yeah.
Lexi, if you frailty them, it's great. But
Yeah.
like if you have 3-card hand against Lexi, it's nuts. But
Yeah.
yeah, the deck is just carried by like the fact that its small hands are extremely strong. Codex is like I mentioned, Codex is an insane kind of assassin. Like cause the Rangers, right? You bring back probably Endless Arrows or Heat Seeker most of the time.
Yeah.
And like I guess it's like Heat Seeker with like super upside, right? If you think about it. You have to play around it, but like it's Heat Seeker with super upside. But with Assassin, one thing that I've been doing, I've yet to lose to Lexi with this deck. I can see it as being very possible if they draw, like if some of my opponents drew slightly better, it's super possible. But like ever since I realized that Codex is a busted card, you just, what you do with this card, right, is you don't cast it. You just leave it. When you start losing, you cast this card. Then you stop losing. Then you just basically just never start losing.
So like,
you
what's
just block
what's your
everything.
secrets with Codex? Like, what's your favorite lines to do?
Okay, wait. The best way. Okay, so very importantly, in like certain matchups like Seed Dash, you just keep in Arsenal. Only when when you think they're gonna have an aggressive hand, you cast Codex because it's such a powerful card against them that like it just instantly reverses like any attempt that they try to take an advantage against you. But for cute lines, there's pitch, there's Double Dagger, Death Touch. Then you protect the Death Touch with Shred. You give it go again. Then you Codex and you Death Touch again. Most people die. Like they take so much damage from that one turn. Besides that, like Dagger, Codex, CNC. That's the classic line, I would say.
Yeah.
Nerf Scalpel is slightly worse with CNC because you can't dereact it anyway. So usually Spider's Bite, Codex, CNC is the best. Usually you want to go for one of the Arsenal killers. Because if they have an Arsenal, it's less important. You can kind of threaten their hand, like Shakedown. I would say reading your opponent's Arsenal is super important in the deck. You kind of get used to it, but maybe it's because I've played Fat for so long.
Yeah.
It's not the level ups with this deck because you realize that if some people block a certain way, it's so that they have certain cards in hand. Like for example, if you throw a CNC at them, the odds of them arsenaling a direct is a lot higher. So you can like play with that in mind.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, your first cycle is to just get rid of DRX because you realize that like at least locally, there's a lot of DRX and a lot of people playing DRX. You're not going to connect isolates. You're going to step something in and they're going to direct it. So you just kind of bait it out. You just play as if they have it and like minimize the value. Oh man, I saw a guy like Fate foresee my Spiders by the other day. That was beautiful. I think they're trying to free his Arsenal or something. But like, yeah, I think he saw a CNC coming or something. But yeah, he Fate foreseen my Spiders by. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Besides, but yeah, Arsenal reading is really important because you gotta know when to go for the Arsenal. Sometimes you just go for their hand with Shakedown. You can shred Shakedown, but you can't shred a CNC. So that's important.
Yeah.
And they can't play around Shakedown, right? Like they can't play around shred Shakedown. It's like so inefficient. Like if they throw their entire hand, you basically won, then you get a whole new turn where you can dagger them again. But daggers are like but yeah, like Codex is just such a nutty card that you mostly want to use it when you're losing. And it's also good for pushing damage when you're hit, when they don't have an Arsenal.
Okay.
The usual target is CNC. Most of the time it's CNC. If it's a one-card hand, you Codex into Leave No Witnesses and have the best one-card hand in the game.
Yeah.
Death Touch is like the damage hand, but it's slightly worse because you give them their best card in the Arsenal if they had no Arsenal, and they're probably gonna hit you with CNC. So you CNC to threaten their CNC.
Yep, makes sense. You want to like take away what you just gave them.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why it feels so much more broken than Assassin. It's because you don't have 3 copies of CNC, you have 6, and you kind of need 6.
Okay, that makes sense. So you want to run us through your choices in the list real quick?
Most of the list is like, I say this list is very safe. It's nothing spectacular. There's no like really kinky options. Some innovation that I found recently is Spreading Plague is crazy. Like that card is so nuts. The main difference between it and Shred is that you can Spreading Plague nothing, so you can Arsenal it safely. You can't Arsenal Shred. Like your opponent's like at 30 life, you're like 20 something life. You can't Arsenal Shred. But if they never block you again, you don't have an Arsenal.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You can Spreading Plague nothing. So I can pitch Blue Dagger, Spreading Plague, then Codex to stop losing. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and occasionally, and this card is so brutal in the end game, right? It's so disgusting because in the end game they kind of need to block. You throw a 6 at them, either they take like say from 8 down to 2, which in that case you're winning, then you Arsenal Spreading Plague, and next turn you Spreading Plague them, or they are forced to block. They block 2 cards on the CNC. You Spreading Plague them. You can Spreading Plague a CNC, by the way, which is really different.
Yeah.
Then on their defense, if they are lucky enough to hold blues, at best they negate the damage, and then you have a 4-card hand to poke them with more daggers to pressurize them, or they take damage and like it's a 1-4 in a class whereby you find it hard to take damage to get damage. Uzuri is kind of like Icelander in the sense that she kind of has to make her damage through pressure. Like Icelander does it by, if you block my Fëanor Fighting Spirit, I will Code Snap into Waning Moon you next turn, and you're gonna take damage, and I'm gonna win the trade. Uzuri does it by Spider's Bite is a super strong card, but besides that, all her attacks are like, and I have very efficient small card hands.
Yeah.
If like, not only does Spider's Bite, like, okay, so you get incremental damage via Spider's Bite. It's kind of like Waning Moon, but you also make your attacks like so terrifyingly hard to block.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, small tricks is like you nerf Scalpel everything that's 4 power over like you nerf Scalpel your Plunder the Poor and your Surgicals. Because your goal is to get them to block 2 cards. If your Surgical is blocked by 2 cards, you've basically like you've like it's functionally 6 power.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's like
you,
small
so you
things
would
like that.
you would prioritize Nerve Scalpel into like Plunder the Poor so they don't get that 1D react block.
Yeah, and if they block 2 attack actions, you're kind of okay anyway. Right?
Yeah, because you get your silver, you get your banish, and you maybe get some equipment back. Yeah.
Yeah, you can read your opponent. Like, if you think they have a D-Rank and Arsenal, you can pressurize them with Nerf Scalpel. That's the line whereby you throw daggers. You throw your Nerf Scalpel with Flick Knives. But, like, honestly, I've only done it once. Like, in the mid-game, I've only done it once. Like, It's kind of like, I wouldn't say like Storm Striders, but, like, a lot of articles or, like, a lot of people say that you throw your dagger in the mid-game. Unless you're against like Lexi or something, and Lexi shouldn't be running DRX anyways, I wouldn't like almost never throw my dagger. It's so key of your like late game Kodachi lock that I wouldn't do it unless like say it's like a shakedown. You can tell that they aren't playing around it. They have exactly blocked it for 6 or whatever. And if you hit them this turn, you gain so much tempo that you can probably finish the game without 2 daggers.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a very cute list because you can shift a lot of things around. For example, I played the Uzuri Mirror yesterday. I got. The guy cast a Surgical. No, he no Scalpel. He protected the Surgical, so he Spider's Bite, no Scalpel in the Surgical. So I thought I got him. I always respect from Arsenal. Then he Concealed Blade, the one Concealed Blade he has, to chip it 1 over, and he got my last ditch effort from my hand.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't mind like spreading my list because I'm constantly shifting the list anyways. But like, the dubious nature of like what you have is so powerful in your deck because you like, for example, I run 2 yellow shreds because people will play around the 3rd yellow shred. I prefer spreading plague anyways. But like, given the mood, I might run 3 shred to spreading plague. People don't know. I run 1 red shred because because Uzuri gets dereacted so often. When you hit someone with it, it's really common. But like, it also implies that they might have more than 1 red shred, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might have to worry about it. Yeah, like I remember like Nathan was telling me about like, wow, you have so many 1-offs, but they're all like super justifiable 1-offs because they don't know what to play around. I run 2 sigils because 3 is like really clunky. Sometimes you draw 3 when you draw a pair when the guy's on hitting you, you're like, oh god. But it's so powerful with the sigil, with the shred thing, and they can't play around. They kind of have to play around the 3rd one.
Every time I've ever clicked on your list, it's different. Every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally I don't send people like my most updated list, but like this list is so close to final, I just constantly shift it. Cause it's Scam 3 because there's a Scam 1 and Scam 2. Those decks sucked. This one, the concept is very similar, so I never change it.
Okay.
But there's like a lot of things you can experiment with. I don't think 1 Death Touch is correct. It's necessarily like the be all and all, but I just hate the card. I just don't think it's probably really good. I just don't feel that it's very good. And because of my playstyle, I don't really like it that much.
Okay.
Probably when Odin's gone, you could run more main deck poppers and you can run more Death Touches. But the idea of like a 2 block in my deck is, there's so many games whereby you win on Razor's Edge. And if I had drawn slightly poorer, I would have lost. And that makes me really scared to run the second Death Touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's like some other stuff. Yeah.
I was curious on like because like every time I look at it, it's different, right? But you do seem to gravitate around like a couple cards, right? Like you always had the Annihilate the Armed, you always had the Plunder the Poor. Those seem to be like your main contract cards, right? And obviously Leave No Witness, but
yeah.
Is there any
They're
reason
so
behind
good.
that?
I just realized how good they are. Huh?
It's just because you think they're really good?
So after playing Arachne, because the idea is that some of the cards just don't hit often. But like there's so few card decks in the game that don't run attack actions and don't run so Plunder the Poor is really good in a one card hand, right?
Yeah.
It's good when you block 3 cards and you throw Plunder the Poor. So this is really good against the decks where you have one card hands. So namely Katsu and Lexi.
Okay.
And they are so good. Like they are so damn good because they can't block it, and you're most definitely gonna get go from it against those decks.
Yeah.
Also, occasionally you get 3 of a kind or whatever, and then like the deck is just so much weaker after that. Annihilate the Armed is so irritating to block after Spider's Bite,
Yeah.
and it almost always hits. Yeah, it's
3
so
card.
like, can you imagine Spider's Bite into Annihilate the Armed? Am I supposed to block 2 twice?
Yeah.
And if they're blocking, you're kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Like in the end, it's not a very important card, but like it does regenerate armor. There's a lot of lists that are running around with Crown of Providence now. I haven't tried it, but like the fact that I can justify what I'm doing because of the presence of Katsu in my local meta that might not be present elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the regenerating armor is very important.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, that's so much damage. Like one for like bite into Annihilate down is like a 2 card 6, which is like Rhina levels of damage, which is okay. It's not never great, but you get like half an armor on hit sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes like the full thing back, and you kill their deck a bit. Yeah, it's good if they block, and it's good if they don't block. And usually when you Spiders Bite into Annihilate the Arm, it's usually the decks that your 2 card hands they want to be blocking. So you just make it like miserable for them to block.
Why do you run Oasis Respite over like Reinforce the Line or something?
Oh, that's interesting. Reinforce could be good. That card's what people should run if they are afraid of Uzuri, by the way. Oasis and Reinforce, because they don't get affected by Nerf Scalpel.
Mm-hmm.
I used to hate Oasis Respite. I used to like curse and swear at it. Like I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my twin counter to Spiders Bite into CNC, and I'm gonna draw the Oasis Respite, and it's right there every time. But the thing with this deck is you can kind of play a slow game. Okay, so outside of the decks that you can't play the slow game against, so namely Dash, because they'll set up items, or like decks with like incremental advantages, you can play the slow game against most decks. And this card has like a lot of like small implications. So the one healing matters a lot. At one of the RTN finals, I faced Katsu, and like he was like, after the game we were like hitting home, and then like he was like, "Wow, you escaped Kodachi lock 4 times," because I sigiled out of 2 Kodachi locks, and I Oasis Respited out of 1. So he was like, Kodachi. I was like thinking on the second Kodachi. I took 2 down to 1. Then he spinning wheel kick that I Oasis did. So I pulled myself out of Kodachi lock again. Then the 4th time I regenerated armor to block 1 Kodachi. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the small things like that. It's not like Icelander whereby you'll be behind and you gain the 1 life. But then like this card's just unconditional. It's good against like Dominate.
Yeah.
And like it's good in the long game because you can pitch a Rid and you can pitch deck the Rid with everything else.
Okay.
It's a good way to get Rids into the pitch deck.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but just don't like throw around the tunic willy-nilly. Yeah.
And how do you?
I wouldn't say there's a reason why it's better than Reinforce. I think it's just more flexible.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And how did you like most Azuris run the red shreds, and you're not even running full yellows? Like, how do you beat like Oldhim?
Well, they could be spreading plague. The shreds could be spreading plague, but spreading plague does so much more damage. Like, shreds are like just more clunky spreading plagues. I used to run sneak attack. Sneak attack is probably better into Odin than looking for scrap, but I'm not even sure because I haven't fought Odin since looking for scrap. The idea of why spreading plague is so good into Odin, not spreading plague, sneak attack is so good into Odin, is because it's pitch blue into sneak attack plus Vambrace is functionally swing big. It's the 2 card 8.
Yeah.
The problem is it sucks because it blocks for 2, and that's important. But you can also sneak attack into spreading plague, and if the guy really wants to block you, you get him real good. But I would say the red strats help, but like I only have so much sideboard space. Like, okay, so every card goes in except for Frailty Trap into Odin.
Okay.
Yeah, you beat Odin by so you can kind of trade with them. Their weapon is superior, but like you can make it genuinely very miserable for them to block. Like with Vambrace, if you can Vambrace to push, okay, so they don't always have the Earth React on first cycle. So if you can get in the Spider's Bite, their ability to block is very miserable, and the Kodachi ships really add up over the long game.
Yeah.
And you can also do like little things like scamming damage in, right? You can always do like a CNC, and they can't always block the CNC very cleanly. They'll just crown it and then you'll chip damage via there. You can get spreading plagues. Like, okay, like spreading plague, right? It's not a card that you always have to get them. But when you get them, like 4 unblockable damage is extremely good in a deck that wants to just chip damage on people.
Yeah.
And that's after they block too. Yeah, so they've already thought that they weren't taking damage, and they are taking damage, which is like a lot of power.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's just like you can run red shreds. It's just that the question is like what to cut, right? I added the unmovable. I hate unmovable as a card because I feel like I don't like to respect guardians. But then that card is, I realize it's so powerful into guardians and Celia and the mirror. Running one is justifiable.
Okay.
I just hate it because sometimes you don't draw the blue. Used to have more remembrances, but honestly they're not that useful into Odin. It used to be in Tautas this he had like a copium way to deal with Odin whereby you line up like last ditch efforts with spreading plagues. But in reality you probably beat Odin by like grinding them out. You only realistically lose because their blues are like their raw numbers are a lot higher. So they kill your deck before you kill their deck. Like say I pitch a blue Spider's Bite into Annihilate the Arm, and they don't Vambrace me, or like they don't crown me. That's my 2-card 6. But then if they return with Thunder Quick Rid, I'm losing because I need more cards to block, and my deck will die first. Also, their weapon is bigger. Yeah. So it's all about like trying to leverage like incremental advantages. But I would say against extremely good Odin, like I would say people like are very, very practiced. The problem is they'll pitch like a good kill into you. So moving into a game, like you might have like something lined up. You might think that like your Codex turn might be coming. They will reach their pitch deck faster because of Crown of Seeds, and you can't really take Thunder Quick Rid when you are at 17 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you block 3 cards, then they return with Zealous into Hammer Swing. You're like, ouch, holy fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, after playing with all of these cards, is there any card that overperformed or underperformed?
CNC is like super important for this deck. Like genuinely speaking, this card is nuts. Like I would say you can't play this deck without CNC. I hate saying that to people, but like CNC is like a weapon. You kind of need it. You look forward to it when it comes. You can take a lot of tempo, stuff like that. There's an idea that like you play around Uzuri by not arsenaling, but then that means you play into Codex, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And also, what? Are you gonna take 6 damage from me? I'm okay with just take 6 damage from me. That's like an okay trade. Besides that, okay, Codex was good, and somehow it's even better than you think. I thoroughly agree with the idea that like you aggressively sink below and Fate Foreseen into Codex of Frailty when you don't have it. Like if you're like, oh shit, I'm losing, just dig faster into it. It's like kind of like Blarash Bellow in a sense. You really need to draw the card, but it's in a different way.
Yeah.
I thought Shakedown sucks. I actually, when I first started, like I was like, okay, I don't get why people think Shakedown sucks. The idea is that like the theory is that like you can miss, right? The guy might not have whatever color you call.
Yeah.
But against most decks, you take away their red, it's going to hit. So even if they don't have a red, that means their hand's sucked anyways, right? They're not like doing anything super impactful for you. And against some decks, right, it's very obvious that they have a blue. So like Guardians. So you always take their blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I remember I was playing like the Uzuri mirror yesterday. The guy blocked 2 reds. I was like, okay, that's really obvious. I'm going to call. I called blue. Then I took his blue. Then his turn was just pitched to dagger. Yeah. It's you don't really miss with this card. You can't really miss with this card. It's you name red unless otherwise. Cause at worst at red, you take away a good card from their hand.
Yeah.
There was this one match against Fire. It was super frustrating. Every time I shake down him, he had Out of War in hand. So I refused to name yellow. It's so unlikely.
Yeah,
but like the 3 times I saw his hand, yeah. And it's also really useful because you can like see their hand and you can plan their turn. Like I played the mirror yesterday. I played 2 mirrors yesterday. That's why I brought it up. It's as exhausting as the older mirror, by the way. I saw a sigil and he kept it in his arsenal. And basically until he used the sigil, I could like not play around this arsenal. And that information is very important. So say against Ninja, right? You shake down them, say you take like their red surging or whatever, you know exactly how to block their coming turn.
Yeah.
It's all open for you. Yeah. And like that information is like as much as Flesh and Blood is like I would say it's like less important than other games to like read your opponent's hand. It is still useful information. Like because you can you can plan your turn around like blocking them, and it's really useful for Uzuri because you want to read when their arsenal is a D-react.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like deceptively more powerful than expected. Oh right, Sigil. Yeah, Sigil is like every card in your deck as long as you hold it after a Wither. It's like everything that it could possibly be. Because when you see a 3-card hand and the guy opens with Isolate, right, you assume it's Shred. So either they choose to play into the Shred, or they don't play into the Shred, they lose.
Yeah.
Because say they overblock, you just Sigil, then they lose. Or they overplay into the shred, so they block like 3, and you activate Uzuri, they de-react it, then then they don't de-react it, or they don't block at all. Then you get the hit in, so you win anyways. Yeah, then you have to think about arsenaling the shred. The guy probably thinks you have a shred. Or yeah, then it might still be Sigil.
Yeah.
And they can't not block forever. Oh, something interesting is that I didn't realize when I started. You can shred daggers. So say they block a spider's bite, you can just shred it, just to get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's so so tricky. The deck is so wiggly.
Blue shreds a pitch deck. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like you don't really think of Flesh and Blood as the game where you play mind games with people. But like, or you kind of do, but it's like not as much as say poker or something, right? But it is super relevant with this deck. You present like sometimes, right? I just wish Isolate doesn't dominate. Or like I remember when I first realized that the deck was really good. It's when I had a really bad hand against a guy, and I realized that I think he has a D-Ray in Arsenal, and I haven't seen CNC for like 24 cards or like 30 cards. So I just like pitched a blue isolated with 2 cards in hand. He bought for 3. Then I activated Uzuri, and he de-reacted, and I showed him a shred, and I just like Arsenal my last card. Because I didn't draw the CNC, but the odds that it was CNC was so high. And at that point I realized, okay, so they're always gonna de-react the isolate. But it doesn't mean you have to present anything real.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like the hand was so bad. Yeah, the hand was so terrible. I might as well just like try to scare it out of him.
That's actually a really cool line I didn't think about.
Yeah, it's the little things. I would say it's not necessary to play the deck, but it's like it will come up and like they will play into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you wanted to cover?
Like, yeah. I would say like the Lexi. It's notable how good the Lexi matchup is, but you have to be careful because Lexi can still high roll you. But my okay, so you can try to manually kill them, but your best way to beat them is just not to lose. So you stress them out. If they're trying to set up actively into you, you throw your disruption. So you don't throw CNC all the time. If they're like just okay, one rule about Lexi is without bullseye braces or hitting a Bolton shot, they are limited to 2 arrows button. So that means the 3 of a kind is gonna suck unless they have a card in Arsenal. So you just make sure that they never have a card in Arsenal. And if they do, have Codex of Frailty or Frailty Trap to blunt the blow. Because all you need to do in that matchup is not lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Lexi matchup is fantastic. Like, it's almost unlosable. Which is really good to boast in this meta game. Whereas the Azalea matchup is less so because Azalea can pull some like really crazy stuff. And they don't really need the Arsenal to function sometimes.
Yeah. Who would you say the bad matchups are? Like Dromai, Fine, maybe?
Okay, Dromai is miserable.
Yeah.
Dromai is miserable because you can't clear everything. You have to clear some things. It's basic respect to clear some things. But you're not gonna fatigue them. Any decent Dromai, you're not gonna fatigue them. They're just not gonna throw dragons at you. Odin is probably slightly unfavored. I would say if like a super strong Uzuri player and a super strong Odin player fight, the Odin player will probably win out.
Okay.
But the Uzuri player might have like some good draws. I didn't watch the match at the end of Calling Antwerp, right? Was it Antwerp? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. Was it close?
I don't know. I didn't see it either.
Yeah. Then there's Rhina is theoretically terrible. Or like bad. Because you're blocking deck. That's it. You have like a million D-reacts and you have a lot of ways to mitigate damage. And you might fatigue them because they fatigue themselves. But like they're gonna intimidate your hand. You're gonna throw what you can to block. And you're gonna open a hand back with like yellow shred and blue isolate, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Scabskins is really good at like making damage for you. But it might be my bad. Because Uzuri is traditionally not a powerful deck. Like it doesn't look powerful, but it's always like super powerful in practice. And I haven't played the matchup yet. So I think it's like not unwinnable, but like it's like
I think
probably unfavored.
Azuri's one of the harder heroes for me to consistently beat on Reinhardt.
That's interesting. Because she forces you off the Arsenal. She makes you play 4 card hands.
Yeah. Like especially my version. My version's so defensive. Like I get punished kind of a lot of the time no matter what I do.
Yeah. I would like to tell people how to beat this deck, but I have no idea. Like the thing is a lot of it's scary, right? It's always easy to think of Uzuri as a crap deck until you get hit by Spider's Bite, then you're like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so Reinhardt's theoretically bad. Fi is theoretically bad. I haven't lost it yet, but it's because the one fight in Singapore has drawn awfully into me every single game. The first game I beat him, his 3 Out of Wars were like bottom last 4 cards, and they were all stacked together. I don't know how. And the second game I beat him, he had 2 blank Out of Wars. Like his Out of Wars drew like blue in a 12 blue deck. So it's like
that's terrible.
Unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worse than Katsu because you can disrupt Katsu, but Fi does the 4-3-3-1 fighting and you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
You can block, But like, if Odin can't block Fi, what makes you think you can block Fi?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Fi is pretty bad. Dash is slightly unfavored. Hard control dash is probably really hard because they just have too many D-Reacts. The less D-Reacts they run, the better, because your deck is still really hard to deal damage to. And most variants of dash, right? If they misplay the matchup, you can kill their deck, which is really interesting because they fatigue themselves. So maybe like say the end game, you might have like a 12 life lead, but they have set up the entire deck, like the entire like the full suit of gun stuff.
Yeah.
You probably have to. You can start to stress their deck because they might not. They have to protect their deck along with their own face, and you can like threaten that.
Yeah.
Besides that, Levia is funnily pretty bad, I think, because they do so much damage. Kieran Huss is really good against CNC. That's probably theoretically bad. Dory might be bad. I haven't faced it yet, but it's because Dory will do the fatigue thing against you, and you might lose. I'm not sure if you win that.
I think it's pretty favored. I think Azuri beats Dory pretty bad.
Yeah, your Nurse Scalpel does double duty because it not only stops Z-Rex but stops the random crap in the deck.
Yeah.
I only run one Remembrance, so I might lose to 3 Remembrance Dory, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, pure fatigue Dory, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, Bravo is probably even. I've won, but that's because I've played against Bravo for 2 years of my life. The Bravos have only played against Uzuri for maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say those are like. But the thing is, she feels like a lot of 50-50 decks. You have so much agency in your deck. There's so much you can do, and like there's so much you feel like you can outplay people. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give this deck a try.
Really good. Yeah, please do. Especially if you have like a lot of Lexi to deal with. I would say one thing I should highlight is that daggers are very important in this deck because they can't block it. I realized this recently. The second someone starts blocking your daggers, they start losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe the counterplay is to try to develop a playstyle to ignore her disruption. But that's on the Uzuri player to disrupt you more. And it's very easy to say play without your arsenal, but then like your turns end up being very inconsistent or crappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess like I'm still like trying to formulate how to like explain to people how to play this deck really well. But like a lot of it just comes with like you kind of get it. It's a lot of like small little things that add up between like the scams or like trying to like put out efficient damage, like knowing how to irritate your opponent.
Yeah. I mean, this is super insightful, man. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be trying to play this deck. I think this is gonna be my backup deck while I play Rhinar for a while. You know, I'm not giving up.
She does have
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, she does have like good matchups into stuff Rhinar's bad against.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being able to flip between the two, like depending on who shows up to my events.
That's why I try to Riptide.
Yeah.
I would say this deck is just better Riptide, by the way. Like I tried playing Riptide like yesterday. Like I was like, okay, maybe I can justify Riptide. There's like less Dromice now. And I was like, then I played like 6 games of Talisha, barely, like the games I won were barely won, and the players weren't amazing. Then I switched back to Uzuri. I was like, okay, I feel so comfortable. This is so much easier than me having to fight my deck. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and they do the same thing. They fatigue via damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody at home, go check out his social medias. He does card alters. Follow his Instagram. It's in the description below. Go follow him on Twitter. It's in the description below. This deck list will be in the description below. The link to his article will be in the description below. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Also, I'm like super happy to answer questions. Like DM me on Twitter.
I come into the chat and answer them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll send them to you. So I'll send questions over to Jose so he can answer them while he's in the future, a full day in the future. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man. I mean, it's always nice talking to you.
Thank you.
We talk all the time, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, but yeah, thank you. And I'll probably be. I'll be at Calling Singapore.
Boom.
But I have an exam on the fucking Saturday.
Oh.
Of the Calling. I am so upset, by the way, because this is like probably my best competitive season ever, and I can't play.
Oh no.
So I'm like, shit.
Well, hopefully you'll be
playing
at
the
Worlds.
Battle Hardened on right now. Huh? Yeah. I'll be playing the Battle Hardened right now. I hate Blitz, but like I'll do it because I have nothing else to play. Which is so sad. And I'll probably be at Worlds unless it's bad for my life. Yeah.
Well, I hope to see you at Worlds, man. Hopefully they announce it soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, everybody.
All right. Yes. All right. Thank you. See you.
Thank you. We'll see you around. Bye.
Yes. Bye.